Kristaps Porzingis didn't look like he skipped a beat. Derrick White might be the most wholesome star in the NBA, and the Celtics are capitalizing on a very rare luxury. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every single day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. So subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section, let me know what you think about the show, about the Celtics, about whatever. Just go ahead and leave a comment. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. Used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. So make sure you're checking me out there as well. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today, I'm talking about the Boston Celtics beating the Detroit Pistons by 25, 119-94. I'll get into this rare luxury that the Celtics have that they took advantage of, and I'll be talking about a little bit throughout the course of the podcast here, which I'm doing from inside the TD Garden in one of these nice little side rooms, one of these little performer rooms. Probably some very famous people who have sat in here getting ready to do concerts and whatnot, but now I'm using it as my podcast backdrop. So if you're watching the show on YouTube, that's what this little room is here at the TD Garden. Talk about Jaylen Brown's big night. We'll talk about Derrick White's triple-double and the absolute most wholesome comments that a player could make about chasing a triple-double. We'll get to all of that stuff. Let's get into Kristaps Porzingis returning. He came back. It was a weird kind of distribution of minutes, but he ended up playing 21 and a half. He was on a minutes restriction, and so the Celtics kind of used it a little creatively. The numbers were great: 20 points, 7 of 14 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3, 8 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block, really nice block shot. So Porzingis, no rust, no nothing. He said after the game to us that if this was a playoff situation, he probably would have played through the entire thing. He probably would have played through the hamstring, whatever it was. He said after the Denver game, he felt it, but he felt like general soreness. And then the next day after that, he's like, oh, it's a little tight. And they did some imaging and they found something in there. So they were super, super cautious. So all of the questions that I got in the mailbag and on Twitter and in comment section, should we be worried about Porzingis? And I kept saying no. That was confirmed here that he would have played if this was the playoffs. But because the Celtics are in this situation, because they are who they are capable of holding Porzingis out for 5 games. Just saying, hey, look, we're going to be as cautious as possible so you can be 100%. There will be a time for you to play through little, soreness and all of that stuff. There will be a time for that in the playoffs, but that's different. That's minimized travel, right? You spend when there's a series, you have 2 games in Boston and then 2 games in another city and then 2 games back in Boston, or you go 1-1-1 after that. So the travel is minimized. You don't have to worry about getting up and down in a plane, which is a pressurized cabin, which can help, which can exacerbate swelling, right? You pressurize something, the swelling can increase. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any favors for the injury. So there will be a time and a place for Porzingis to work through injuries. This was just complete caution at an extreme level for sure, but caution nonetheless. And he said that, so he played 6 minutes, and then all of a sudden he sat down for the rest of the first half, and people were like, should we be worried about this? And no, he was just riding a bike, and he said that he and Joe talked in the second quarter. He said, you know what, I'm just going to sit you the rest of the half. We're going to play you the rest of your minutes in the second half, just in case the game is close. We want you out there. So that was the strategic thing behind that. If they're only going to have 20 or so minutes of Porzingis, they decided that, hey, we're going to go with 14 minutes in the second half and let you be the matchup problem that you are. And you seem to have things going pretty well. So let's just kind of roll with that. And if we need you to beat this team, then we have you. So it didn't come down to that, although Porzingis did have a big third quarter. The flow of the game, and really, honestly, the game itself was kind of like, kind of ho-hum, right? I don't take anything away from this game as far as, okay, yeah, you beat a Pistons team that you didn't even have Cade Cunningham. They were playing some guys. Probably 2-3 different times I was like, wait, who's that? Who just scored that basket? Okay, I mean that's the Pistons right now. They're going through it, and there are some interesting players on that team. Okay, so whatever. You beat the Pistons. You beat them by 25. Well, that was interesting. If you're listening on the audio feed, you just heard alarms and silence. And now here I am. If you're watching on YouTube, you see me in a completely different venue, back at my home office, my home studio, because the alarms went off at the TD Garden. And the whole thing was, there's an emergency, please evacuate, and all of that stuff. Kind of weird. No one knew what was going on. So I just packed up and left without knowing how long that was going to take. As I walked out, Boston Fire was there. Didn't seem like anything was going on, but that's what that just was that you just heard. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off because I actually think it's kind of fun to let you guys in on the kind of weirdness of sometimes what happens when you're podcasting. So the alarms went off at the Garden. I think everything is fine there, but I'm going to continue talking about Kristaps Porzingis. And on YouTube, I had to change because I had a blue sweater on, and that messes with the green screen that I use. So I had to put my old high school Shea Raiders basketball hoodie on to continue this. So weird night for me, but not a weird night for Kristaps Porzingis and not a weird night for the Celtics. Like I said, as I was saying, not really concerned that they beat the Pistons at this point. It's just, the Celtics do have the easiest or one of the easiest remaining strength of schedules. And this is what you're supposed to do as the Celtics. It was a pretty nice game. No Tatum, no Horford, no Hauser, no Holiday. Didn't really matter much. The Celtics were able to take care of business. Big run in the third quarter to break open what was an 11-point game, but the Celtics never felt like they were in any danger. So the actual game itself, not really as much a concern to me as Kristaps Porzingis coming back and looking good. So hopefully there's no minutes restriction or it increases, but he said he felt good. He said he would have played if it was the playoffs. So that's great. Good to see. So, and I'll get through some of these other performances like Derrick White and Jaylen Brown. In fact, why don't I take a second here? I'll come back. We'll talk about Derrick White and the most wholesome. I mean, honestly, he might be the most wholesome guy in the league. We'll talk about that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to update your wardrobe this season. You can easily upgrade your wardrobe. Hey, spring is here. All right, we're in that nice transition period in New England, but wherever you are, spring is here. Time for maybe a new look, an updated look. So go check it out with Stitch Fix. The professional stylist helps you find new on-brand favorites that work for you. Just give your stylist your size, your style, your budget preferences. You can order box whenever you want, however you want. No subscription. It's not like it just keeps coming to you. It's how you want it. You get 5 just for you pieces, outfit recommendations, styling advice. You keep what works, you send back the rest. If you don't like it, shipping, returns, exchanges are always free. Your stylist will send you the just right pieces. The fit is on point, and they have this style ESP. So they get you. So check it out. You don't have to go sit around and shop. You don't have to go scrolling through a bunch of different websites. They take care of all that stuff, and the outfits make you look and feel really good. There's something about wearing that perfect fit that makes you feel super confident. It's style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You know, we've got this new national sports 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today. Hey, baseball fans, mark your calendars now for March 20th, 7 o'clock Eastern, for the best MLB season preview. It's exclusively on Locked On Sports Today, March 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be the first to get local insight from the Major League Baseball local experts on the Locked On Podcast Network. March 20th, 7 p.m. on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Derrick White had a triple-double. It didn't come easy. Well, 99% of it came easy. The last assist was a little bit of an issue. I'm laughing because Derrick White is not a stat chaser. He is not a stat patter, but he went for it. He went for that final assist. It took 3 minutes of trying. The rest of the game came so easy to him, but it took 3 minutes of trying for him to finally get that final assist. Now, he was great in this game. He was 6 of 12 from 3. He hit a bunch of 3-pointers earlier in the game. His assists came later, plus 2 steals, plus a block. The 3 turnovers all came when he started stat chasing. He was at that point at 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. He had 0 turnovers. So really when it mattered, he basically played perfectly. And then he looks up and it's 12, 10, and 9. And Peyton Pritchard said, we saw it. You can see on the scoreboard, it says 12, 10, and 9. So we decided we're going to start going for it. So it's kind of funny because this is what happens when you stop playing the right way. And I'm not saying this in any sort of criticism for Derrick White. Absolutely. At that point, the game is decided. It's a 20-plus point game. You're Derrick White. Everyone knows that you're not a stat chaser. But, hey, you're an assist away. Let's see if you can't get one of these buckets, get somebody going to the rim. And he tried. And when you get away from doing the stuff that you're normally doing, that's when things start to go bad. And he had 3 turnovers. But after the game, he was asked point blank, you're not a stat chaser. What was it like for 3 minutes of chasing the stat padding? He said, it was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't play too good doing it. So I got to never do that again. Which is the way he said it. His whole demeanor, everything was just so wholesome. It was freaking adorable, for God's sakes. I mean, I'm a grown man saying that about another grown man, but it really was. It really was just like, oh man, you're just such a wholesome young man. Like, I don't have a daughter, but I would say marry my daughter. You're so like, it's just such a fun moment. Like, God, this guy is. What more do you want from this guy? I mean, you can see why Kristaps Porzingis, after the game, he's asked about Derrick White. Every time he's asked about Derrick White, he glows. He's like, yeah, man, how can you not love this guy? He said, I think it's hard not to love him. This guy, just on and off the court, is a unique human and unique player. I can go on and give compliments to D. White, honestly, about who he is. Everybody loves him here, and it's good to see people like this getting recognition. You can't say a bad thing about Derrick White. This is just I'm babbling at this point about Derrick White. But honestly, he is a good dude. He is a great player. He's a star player. He's not a superstar player. He's not Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but he's a star player. He is absolutely a star player. And it'd be interesting to see how the contract talks go. But there would be plenty of teams in the league that would love to have Derrick White because he is always trying to make the right play. He is always trying to what's right. Is it passing? Then great. I am extraordinarily impressed by Derrick White's just willingness to shoot when that's the right play. When he first got here, there was like a reticence to him. There was like a, I don't think I should shoot. Like you're trying to fit in or maybe overpass a little bit. People were like, no, be aggressive. Take your shot. Go ahead. He definitely wasn't that willing a shooter when he was in San Antonio, but here he is, just any opening you give him. You go under on a screen, that shot is going up. And yeah, he's had some bad shooting nights. Yeah, every shooter goes through ups and downs, but he is very willing to shoot, and he keeps that confidence, and it's impressive. That might be one of the most impressive things. And that is player development. And I think that player development with the Celtics, we think about player development like Sam Hauser, who is, undrafted, and here he comes. He is an absolute player development success story for the Celtics. He went from being targeted all over the place on defense to now he's a good defender, or a solid defender. He went from just catch and shoot to now he's shooting on the move. He's worked on a lot. I think his release is a little bit quicker. He's getting the ball off his fingertips a little bit quicker. That's player development as we know it. But this is also player development. Derrick White is player development. This is what you work on and it might be a little more subtle with Derrick White, but it's there. And that's part of it. So Derrick White's triple-double and all of that stuff that I was just having fun with is true, but it's also part of why I don't have a problem with him chasing that last assist is not only he never does that. So in this situation, his team saying, you know what, you deserve a triple-double. Let's get it for you. I have no issue with that. And it is because he deserves it. I believe that Derrick White, you know what? He deserved the triple-double in this. He deserves the recognition. And it's kind of funny. Like I've gotten on Russell Westbrook, that whole triple-double, that year he averaged a triple-double and won MVP. I was like, well, he's just going for the triple-double. He was stat padding. It's hard to stat pad. It's hard to get triple-doubles even when you're stat padding. So it goes to show how good you have to be to stat pad your way to a triple-double. But D. White deserves it. He deserves that recognition, like Porzingis said. And, he was consistently good throughout this game. He's been consistently good throughout this season. He's just a really damn good basketball player. You know who else is a damn good basketball player? Jaylen Brown. I'll talk about Jaylen. I'll talk about some of the other guys that were contributing. And there's some guys that maybe we didn't expect to contribute, but the Celtics have a rare luxury that they're taking advantage of. I'll talk about all of that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. You've got a small business you need to hire. You need LinkedIn Jobs because they will help you find quality professionals just right for the role at your small business. They've got the tools at LinkedIn Jobs to help you find the right pros for your team faster and for free. They've got a vast network of more than 1 billion with a B professionals, which makes it the best place to hire, gives you access to the professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that. Plus, they make the process easy and intuitive. They've got these tools that they just launched to help you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses Get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring, so you should too. You've got so many hats that you're wearing. Use LinkedIn Jobs to get this search done quickly and efficiently. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Did I say Locked On Celtics? Locked On NBA? Whatever. This is the Locked On Celtics podcast. I do Locked On NBA on Wednesdays with Jake Madison. Go check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Rotating hosts all week long. It's a fun show. Go check it out. Jaylen Brown was awesome. Third quarter, he was responsible for 19 of 28 Celtics points. He scored 14 of them. He assisted on 5 more. And the best part about Jaylen's third quarter, no three-pointers. So that's as much as I am a believer in the three-point math. For Jaylen to be able to attack and not settle for threes, especially against that Detroit defense. There was one time there was a pick and roll. He turned the corner. It was coming basically towards us, like in section 19. You're in the corner by the player tunnel by the Celtics bench. I just saw him turn the corner, and everybody just kind of got out of his way. And when you've got a defense that bad in front of you, attack it and see what you get. And he just kept getting to the rim. So Jaylen Brown, obviously, I know it's very late for me to be talking about the guy who dropped 31 and led the Celtics with 31 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 55%, 50% from 3, 6 of 8 from the line. I'm not being disrespectful to Jaylen. It's just that Porzingis returning was great, and Derrick White getting the triple-double was, I want to give Derrick White some of his flowers there. But JB was playing really, really well with no Tatum. He anchored that offense and did a great job. And in the third quarter, when the Celtics were kind of not playing around, but, the Pistons played hard. It was about an 11-point game. I never thought the Celtics were in any sort of danger, but when the opportunity came and the Celtics broke this open, it was Jaylen Brown who was at the center of that. But the Celtics are taking advantage of the luxury of being up 10 games. There's 14 games to play, and the Celtics are up 10. Yeah, 14 games to play. So the magic number here is 5 for the Celtics in the East with 14 games to play. Plenty of time. The Celtics just need to go 5-9 the rest of the way, and they clinch the number 1 seed in the East. They need to go 9-5 the rest of the way to clinch the overall top seed. So it's decided. It's basically decided. The Celtics are winning at a very high rate, high 70% range. They're continuing to win at that rate. Actually, are they up to 80% now? They're winning at such a high rate that it's impossible to catch them. 79.5%. If so, 5-9, 9-5, that should be no problem. The Celtics at this point might not lose 20 games this year, which is incredible. So they have this luxury playing different lineups. And we saw that in this game. They started Luke Cornett and Kristaps Porzingis. Very smart to do that. Why? There's no matchup specific thing. You say, we're going to start double big against the Pistons just to see, because we think that's the best way to stop Detroit. No, that's not why you start double big. You start double big because you never know when you're going to need Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Cornett to play together. So let's get them on the floor together. You've got Jaylen Brown there who can handle a lot of the offense. That's the beauty of the Celtics with Tatum and Brown. They finally get Tatum to sit a game, and you got Jaylen Brown there like, hey, JB, we're going to try a few different things. If it hits the fan, you just do your thing, you take over, you handle it, and help us out here, which is great. Jaylen's probably like, yeah, sure, no problem. You need me to score a bunch of points? I got you, no problem. Against this Pistons teams, yeah, sure. So you start Kornet with Porzingis because maybe you need to go double big and who against whoever. Maybe you need to figure out these two so you can put another team away. Maybe they're getting a playoff opponent's getting to the rim too easily, and you're like, all right, let's try this double big lineup. Maybe Al Horford goes down with a sprained ankle, and you need to play Kornet with Porzingis a little bit. Whatever the circumstances are, you never know when you're going to need it. So, as Kristaps Porzingis said after the game, the beginning of the game, we were running to the same places, me and Luke. It wasn't fluid. We were going to the same places. We're trying to do the same things, and we're kind of getting in each other's way, but we figured it out. That's exactly why you do this. You now have 11 minutes of them on the floor together when they had been averaging 4 minutes per game in all of the other times they shared the floor together. It was always very brief. But now you've got a little bit more time. 11 minutes, not a big deal, right? But you've got extended stretches of 5 and 6 minutes of you two together on the floor where you can now look at it on film and say, okay, you have this dynamic. You got to make sure that when this happens, Luke, you're going here, Kristaps, you're going here. It's an opportunity to figure out these lineups. And maybe you don't use it at all against Milwaukee, but you bust it out again against Detroit and Chicago on the road in the back-to-back. Maybe, you've seen some of it with Al Horford and Luke Kornet. Now you see it with Luke and Kristaps, and it's just different groups, especially the bigs, because that's going to be really important. It's not so much about like Jaden Springer, who got minutes and was maybe channeling a little too much Aaron Nesmith. He made some nice plays, but he was playing at like he was listening to the podcast on 1.5 speed. You know what I'm saying? He was moving a little too fast out there. But it's not about Springer or Walsh. O'Shea Brissett, maybe Shvi Mikhailuk, he's kind of plug and play, so I'm not even worried about him. It's more these bigs and the combination of which bigs with your normal wings, because that's going to be your biggest question mark. Al, Kristaps, injury possibilities that you have to be able to go somewhere else. That's why Tillman is getting a lot of run. This is why this Luke Kornet thing happened. This is why these weird lineups are happening. Now's the time to throw them out there, and you can do it under the guise of, well, the Celtics just needed to throw some guys out there, and not are opposing teams going to be going deep into Celtics Pistons without Tatum and without Holiday and without Horford, and that might be a game where the other team kind of throws it away and says that's not going to give us the information that we need. But the Celtics are getting information that they need out of this. And now, between this game and 14 games left, once the Celtics clinch, then it's all experimentation time, mixed in with ramping guys up for certain minutes. The end of the season is going to be a weird kind of mess of one game, and it doesn't even matter the opponent. Like, whoever they play doesn't matter. But it's more about the playoff implications. It's more about preparing for that run. So 2 games in Atlanta struggling. They're, unless they play the Clippers, but you can see 2 completely different lineups, 2 completely different approaches against the same team. At home, they've got a stretch there: OKC, Sacramento, Portland, Milwaukee, New York, Charlotte, Washington. And they could play everybody 40 minutes against Charlotte at home, and then that last game against Washington could be nobody. Or they could sit everybody against New York and Charlotte and say, hey, we're going to be off for a week. So this Sunday, April 4th, that 1:00 game against Washington could be 40 minutes of Jayson Tatum and just going all out, because they're going to have a week to prepare, and you want to get one more big minute game in for these guys before they rest for the week. Who knows what the minutes distribution is going to be moving forward. So the whole point of that is there are going to be plenty of opportunities for them to experiment. So I'm glad that they're doing that. This is like you've invited the Pistons to come in and say, hey, we're going to practice against you live, and we're going to get these refs, and we're going to keep score, and we're going to fill the arena. It's going to look just like an NBA game, but it's really a practice. Like, that's essentially what this was. So you'll see it again at Detroit. You'll see it again maybe at Chicago, or one of the at Atlanta. And you'll see the Celtics play full squad against Milwaukee. You'll probably see them play full squad against New Orleans, against OKC. And in one of these other games, they have to get full squad minutes in there, but they also have to work in their rest and work in this other, experimentation or different lineups, or whatever Joe Mazzulla wants to call it. So it's a rare opportunity. Teams don't normally get this chance, but the Celtics are going to have the East and the NBA top overall seed kind of wrapped up in short order. So you can use the remaining games as essentially live practices against NBA competition. That is invaluable. This is going to give them a bunch of great film. It's going to give them a bunch of great information. It's going to give them things that they can lean on, options that they didn't know that they had, or options that they think that they had, but really get eliminated over this time. Just as important for them to figure out what they can't do, things that they thought they could do, and be like, oh, wait, no, that doesn't work together at all. And if you figure that stuff out before the playoffs start, then you're not figuring things out in real time. When somebody goes down, you go, oh crap, we never got a chance to play Luke and Porzingis together for extended minutes. Let's hope for the best. And what you saw at the beginning of the game, where they look like, high schoolers awkwardly dancing their first slow dance, you would have seen that in the playoff game rather than this meaningless March game against the Pistons. So super important, even when it's not, I guess, meaningful to the regular season. And also, last point about it is it helps keep the guys engaged, helps keep them together, helps keep them, focused on something and not bored. So this is all very important stuff as the Celtics kind of run down these last 14 games, about a little less than a month to go in the regular season. So, all right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Again, sorry for the alarms in the first segment and the weirdness there, but like I said, I left it in because I think it's a kind of funny thing to leave in. So, hope you enjoyed the podcast. Alarms aside, hope you enjoyed the post-game show here on YouTube, and subscribe. Get that. I'll do a mailbag here, I think, tomorrow, to get some of the questions answered for you. I've got a lot of questions coming into johnkaralis.com/mailbag. So I'll get that mailbag in. And so submit your questions. That'll be tomorrow's podcast. So subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and then share the show. Let everybody know that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.